Hello, hello. All right. Give it just a couple minutes here. Okay, we'll get this going. So today's agenda, we're talking about solar in Missouri with a focus on incentives and financing. Kind of walk through the different ways that you can go solar, some important things to understand about the incentives and where the financial return on investment and everything comes from with solar panels. So solar in Missouri. So the cost of solar to install solar has really dropped significantly over the last handful of years. Where 5-6 years ago you were looking at $6, $7, $8 a watt to install solar, where now we're down around the $3, even a little bit lower potentially of upfront cost for solar. So that's why you may notice that there's more solar panels going up in the Missouri area. We've seen electric rates continue to rise. The cost of solars came down, making that whole mathematical economic equation start to pan out to a quicker return on investment. So some of the other things that have changed to help support the wider adoption of solar. So the federal tax credit. So this is an incentive directly from the federal government of 30% of the total cost of your solar system. That includes the equipment cost, installation, everything. So everything included in the cost of putting solar on your home is included in that tax credit. 30% of the total amount is available back to you as a credit. So when it comes to tax credits, there's some important things to understand. The tax credit is not a guaranteed tax refund, right? So, we have an example here of a system that costs $20,000, 30%, your federal tax credit would be $6,000. Depending on your tax liability situation, how much money you actually paid into the government and throughout the year, and of that, what they kept. That is where you will figure out what kind of tax credit you're going to get back at one time. Okay, so kind of paint a scenario here. So with this, say your tax credit is $6,000, right? So most of us, we have taxes coming out of our paycheck every time we get paid. And at the end of the year, when we go and we file our taxes, say we've had $10,000 come out of our paycheck over the course of a year towards our federal income tax. After deductions and credits, they send us a refund check of, say, $3,000. So in that scenario, they kept $7,000 of your money. So if you have a tax credit of $6,000, well, they are going to send you, as part of your refund, another $6,000 back there with the other $3,000 in that scenario that we were talking about as part of your refund. Okay, so now let's look at the scenario. The tax credit's $6,000 still, but your tax liability after deductions and everything, let's say your liability was $3,000. So now you're going to get $3,000 of your $6,000 back this year. The other $3,000 would roll over to next year, and you collect it then. Okay, so you can continue to roll this credit over until you collect it all. The tax credit at 30%, got extended all the way out till 2032. So if you install solar between now and 2032, you will receive that 30% tax credit for your solar install. Now, if you look at line 24 on your tax return from last year, that will show you what your final tax liability was after any other deductions and credits that you may have had. So that's the number to look at. If it's bigger than what your tax credit would be, then you're going to collect all of it at once. If it's lower than your tax credit, then that's where you would see that partial coming back and then rolling over the additional. That's a lot of information, a lot of numbers. It's not nearly as confusing as it sounds. Talking to any solar professional, they can help walk you through that. Make sure you fully understand what your tax situation looks like with the solar. So next incentive that's very important to understand here in Missouri is the net metering program. And so net metering allows you to send extra power that your solar panels are producing back into the grid. Okay, and when you send extra power back into the grid, that is building credits that you then in return get to use those credits to pay for any kilowatt hours that you're pulling from the grid. So how this works is the panels are going to absorb the sunlight, creates the electricity. Your home's going to use what it needs first, and then extra power being produced pushes back into the grid. Well, obviously, nighttime's going to roll around. We have cloudy days. There's just going to be times when we're pulling more power from the grid than what we are producing from our solar panels. If we've sent that extra power in, those credits then pay for that power that we're pulling out. So it's called a one-to-one net metering. So this goes on all throughout your billing cycle. And then at the end of your billing cycle, if you, let's say throughout the course of the month, you sent in 500 kilowatt hours and you only pulled 400 from the grid. So you sent in 100 more than what you took out. So those extra 100 kilowatt hours, at this point, they say, okay, you're a wholesale provider of power. So you do then get compensated at a wholesale rate for that extra 100 kilowatt hours. Now, this is a bill credit. They're never actually going to write you a check, but it's a bill credit that then can go towards your connection fees, can continue to roll over then to go towards bills on the months when you are not producing everything that you need. Okay, so it's very, very common to see months in the spring specifically, sometimes in the summer and fall, where you have negative bills because you produced more power, that it's offset everything that you need, and you're rolling those credits over into future months. When we start to get in these shorter days, we're not producing as much. Those credits then can help offset those bills when you're pulling some power from the grid. So let's talk about the different finance options. So when we look at solar, of course, you can, if you've got the money up front, you can pay cash. You're not talking about any interest or anything. It's the quickest return on investment of your investment there. Okay, so the majority of us don't have that kind of money sitting around, or don't see it as the proper use of having that kind of money sitting around to just buy the solar system outright. So there are a number of different ways that you can go about financing a solar system. So we're going to touch on 5 different ways today here. So you got solar specific loans. So with the solar systems being warranted as long as they are now, they have some very attractive solar specific loan programs out there. And we'll talk through those, the things that you should pay attention to, what makes them different from one solar loan to another, and just understanding just kind of the landscape of that. So some of the other ways that people sometimes finance their solar systems, HELOC, so a home equity line of credit. Obviously, most people, if you've owned your home for a handful of years, you got in before we saw some pretty significant spikes in home prices there. You may have some equity that you can borrow against. Can be a very great way of financing this. There's also what's referred to as a cash out refinance on mortgages. You can refinance your entire mortgage loan, take cash out of that from that extra equity that you have. This right now is probably not one of the better ways. Well, it's not one of the better ways of doing it in this current climate. The interest rates are still kind of high. This will be a good option here as we continue to see interest rates come down, right? If you bought your house and you're sitting at a 5-6 plus % interest rate, as we see these rates come down some, doing a refinance, taking some cash out where you're paying a lower rate, and have cash to purchase a solar system, that's going to be a great option here. Probably in 2025, as we start to see those, we've seen the rates come down a couple times here in recent months. We expect to see that again early in 2025. So pay attention to that as a good option as we roll into the spring of 2025 here. So option number 4, credit card personal loans. So obviously, just get a regular old loan from the bank. Sometimes customers have looked at credit cards with 0% interest rates. Can be a great option. They have 0% for 18 months. If you're looking at, hey, I'm going to pay cash for some of this, and then if I can put it on a credit card with 0% interest for 18 months while I wait to get my tax credit back to pay the other part of it, there's some unique ways you can go about there. And then there's something called third-party ownership. So this is where an investment company owns your solar system. It still goes on your house. You get just all the benefits of solar with a reduced electric bill. And that's something that is not available in our area quite yet, but it is in the works. It's coming soon. So we're pretty excited about being able to offer that. So one of the other things that often comes up when we're kind of having these conversations with people about the value of solar is, how do I even figure out how many solar panels I need? So, you can, there's a mathematical process to this whole thing, figuring out how much energy your home uses on a daily basis. And that for most homes is going to fluctuate quite a bit during different times, so different seasons. So on your electric bill, there's typically a graph right on the front page that shows a month-by-month breakdown of what your power usage is. That's one of the things that we look at when we're building out quotes for customers, is that graph. We want to see a month-by-month. We don't just want an average monthly bill or a total yearly kilowatt-hour usage. We really want to look at that month-by-month so that we can break it down and show our customers exactly how their system is going to perform compared to their actual usage on a month-by-month basis. So that's one of those things to pay attention to if a solar company is trying to produce you a proposal off of just an average monthly bill. It's not going to be extremely accurate. The other thing that's getting calculated in is just how much solar power we're going to get on your particular panels. So there's a number of things that go into that equation, which direction, cardinal direction, south, west, east, are the panels going to be facing? What's the roof pitch of your home? And then, of course, shading issues, anything that's around that will be shading those panels. All of those things put together then is how we figure out how many panels a home actually needs. Sorry, I was thinking there was another slide here. So I just want to jump back to these finance options here and touch a little bit more on this coming soon option. So this PPA, so that's called a power purchase agreement. So you currently have a power purchase agreement with your utility company, right? So you are purchasing power from them at the rate that they tell you it is. And as we know, we've seen a couple pretty good size increases over the last couple of years. That trend, unfortunately, is going to continue. You can go back and watch some of our other videos on the cost increase of electricity if you want to dig more into that topic. But we know that's going to continue. And so what a third-party ownership is, as I mentioned, is where an investment company owns the system. So the advantages of going this route are that you don't have to worry about the warranty or maintenance of the panels. The panels have very low maintenance, so that's not a big deal. But the warranty side of things, everything gets covered for a full 25 years. You also don't have a loan. So we talked about these other finance options. Obviously, you're taking out a loan with those things. You have no debt tied up when you do a TPO type of system. So here in Missouri, that's going to look like a PPA. The other option is a lease. They're practically the same thing, just kind of different terms. But it allows you to then just be buying the power produced from your panels at a lower rate than what you're buying power from the utility company right now. So typically what we're seeing, this is already going on in Illinois, most homes, people are able to save 30 to 50% on their total cost of electricity on a monthly basis with these programs. So you don't have to worry about the insurance on them. That's all covered from the investment company. It really is pretty straightforward. You're just getting a lower electric cost overall by providing your home as a place to put the panels. So it's one of those things that often people will be like, "What's the catch?" Right? This doesn't make sense. Why would they do this? Well, so for these investment companies, they then get to take advantage of all the tax benefits. We talked about that federal tax credit. So they're going to take that tax credit. Also, because as a business owning the solar panels, they could depreciate the cost very rapidly. So there's additional tax benefits there on their end. So they're able to recoup their costs very quickly and then just make a margin on what they're selling you power at. So it's kind of a win-win situation for both homeowners and the third-party ownership, the investment company. So that is not always the right situation. If you can buy the system outright or you can pay it off quickly, in the long term, you're still going to be in a better return on investment situation there. But for many of us, an immediate savings and saving every month is a great benefit. So really deciding which option's best for you will vary a little bit on your situation. So that is why we're excited to be able to offer customers both a purchasing option as well as a third-party ownership option. So if you'd like to get on our list, as we said, this just launched in Missouri, but only over on the Kansas City side with Evergy, the electric company over there. It's going to be launching with Ameren, Missouri soon. We don't have an exact date yet, but we expect a lot of traffic from homeowners trying to get on board with this as soon as it comes available. So if you'd like to get on our list early, reach out. We can get you on the list. So as soon as it becomes available, we can start moving on your project for you. And that is all we've got for today. If there's any questions, let me check to see in the chat if there was any questions that popped up throughout. Not seeing anything, so we will call it a wrap.